Hi, I'm Daniela Laurel. I'm originally from the Philippines and I'm a third-year PhD student in management engineering. I'm doing my PhD at the Politecnico di Milano in Italy, and I'm spending 1 year of my doctoral studies at HEC Paris at the Department of Accounting and Management Control. So basically, I'm an interdisciplinary scholar. I look at management, finance, and accounting literatures. And my thesis is on two main streams. So the first stream really uses organizational theory, particularly institutional theory, to basically examine the processes by which organizations change in a field which is in transition. So in particular, I look at the asset management field in Europe as they try and integrate the sustainability logic in investing in addition to the financial logic which is dominant in the market. And this is really evident in the case of socially responsible investing. So I look over historically how socially responsible investing basically started to gain traction in the asset management field and became legitimate. So that's one of the main streams of research I'm looking on. The other stream is really related to the mechanisms of socially responsible investing in themselves. So I'm really looking at the criteria and how each type of criteria, whether it's related to environmental, social, or governance issues, and how this impacts the risk and return of socially responsible mutual funds. And on the other hand, I'm also looking at accounting measures, so in particular, non-financial voluntary disclosure, shareholder activism, and internal and outsourced research, and how that implies and has an impact on performance and attractiveness to fund managers.
My name is Tatiana Botelho. I am a second-year PhD student at the Energy Planning Department of the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. I'm interested in knowing how to make oil companies more responsible. I believe that a sector that is so crucial to our society, at the same time, companies that have such large market caps and also such high impact on the environment and those social community and small communities, it's very important for investors to know what are the issues that are important for them, just in terms of impact investment and also in terms of ESG risk investment.
Well, my name is Ariel Borgers. I'm from the Netherlands, from Tilburg University. My research is about whether individuals value social responsibility in their pension decisions and whether they can translate their values they have into financial decisions, because these two are really related. We find that individuals do value certain social issues concerning their pensions, but we also find that there's like a really large group of individuals that's certainly not able to translate their own values into a sound financial decision. So therefore, I think the fiduciary duty of the pension fund managers is very complicated, but it is important for them to take it into account.
Hi, my name is Dane Rook. I'm from the University of Oxford, originally an American citizen, and I'm studying financial geography and economic geography in the Geography and Environment Department at Oxford. So I'm looking at the behavioral influences on the way that investors integrate their views on market processes, that is, their various perspectives on the way that markets function theoretically or empirically, and how those might actually absorb sustainability beliefs, that is, views on how natural resource constraints or the impacts and risks from climate change might affect market activity in the future, and how investors are able to conceptualize that as well as adapt their strategies to possibly take account for those factors, and whether or not their standing body of knowledge in financial management and financial strategy is amenable to those sort of sustainability beliefs, or if their entire approach to investing has to be retooled in order to account for those new dimensions to the whole risk equation and the way they approach market activity.
Right, my name is Christine Chow. I'm currently based in Hong Kong, and I have my PhD from the University of Melbourne. The title of my paper that I presented here at oikos is Establishing a Corporate Sustainability Tool Using Shareholder Engagement Commitment Indicator. So it sounds like a bit of a mouthful, really, but what I see as a current problem at shareholder engagement is that it tends to be very backward-looking. And usually when something happens, then shareholders rush in to question and try to complain about companies not being responsible. And yet money has already been lost, and the company has already been, irresponsible either environmentally or socially. So that doesn't actually help. And what I try to present is that by collating historical information on the issues that shareholders care about, you can actually potentially develop an indicator that has a forward-looking element in it.
I am Kais Bouslah, a PhD student at the University of Quebec at Montreal in Canada. My research question is to examine the impact of social performance on the risk of financial firms. My key finding can be summarized as follows. We found that social performance is negatively related to the risk of financial firms. Alternatively, we found that concerns or negative action increase the risk of financial firms. We also found that not all the dimensions of social performance affect materially the risk of financial firms. Specifically, we found that product, corporate governance, and employee concerns affect positively the risk of financial firms, that is, they increase their risk. Moreover, in my personal opinion, I think that responsible investment will be the mainstream in the future. And this is why I'm interested in responsible investment, specifically from the risk side.
G'day, my name is Ben Jacobson. I'm from James Cook University. I'm doing a case study of engagement by a fund, and the fund is called the Climate Advocacy Fund. It's interesting because the more we know about the process of engagement, and I'm embedded in the fund, so I listen to their strategy meetings and how they talk about how they're going to word their engagements. The more we know about the process of that sort of activism, the more effectively bodies like the PRI can facilitate a coalition of support. So that's why I'm interested in it, and that's why I think it's interesting.
My name is Priya Bala-Miller, and I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of British Columbia. I'm affiliated with the Department of Political Science there, as well as the Liu Institute for Global Issues. And in addition to that, I'm a research associate at the Carleton Centre for Community Innovation at Carleton University. So theoretically, my work has three strands. First, I'm really interested in the phenomenon of issue emergence, and within the context of shareholder engagement, to really understand which issues are captured on the shareholder advocacy agenda and which issues aren't. The second strand of my research is understanding variation in engagement outcomes themselves. So far, I think the literature has had a skewed focus on determinants of shareholder engagement, but focusing only on successful cases. But I think to be theoretically robust, we also need to be considerate of how we're explaining failed engagements. So for instance, is it just that an absence of factors that determine success also explain failure, or is the causal mechanism for failed shareholder engagement something completely different? So this is a second strand in my research. And then the third is much more practical. I'm really interested in how institutional investors that are choosing to have very active engagement agendas then feed those experiences back into the work that they do on policy engagement.
I'm Jennifer Goodman from the UK originally. I'm studying in SADE in Barcelona, and I'm fascinated by the role of shareholders and their social shareholder activism, and how their role can be seen from a political viewpoint as well as an economic viewpoint. By looking at deliberative democracy in my paper here at the conference, I'm hoping that this can contribute to a governance method, or a global governance method that can deal with the transnational element of companies as they are today.
I'm Shelley Xin Li. I'm a second-year doctoral student from Harvard Business School, Accounting and Management Unit. I was originally from China, Northeast China actually. So my research question is, for companies who decide to pursue environmental goals such as reducing CO2 emissions, what types of incentives they provide to their employees, and how effective are those incentives? And this is an interesting question because I think on a societal level, people realize sustainability issues are very important, and on firm levels they have various incentives to reduce their CO2 emissions too. So now they need to figure out how they can really get things done by mobilizing their people to reduce CO2 emissions. So what type of incentives are more effective is a very practical issue.
I'm Irene Beccarini, I'm Italian, but I'm doing my PhD in Spain at IESE Business School in Barcelona. I'm generally studying the overall process of shareholder engagement in the responsible investing field within financial markets. In particular, the first question of my study is why religious investors perceive certain social problems as issues that need to be addressed to the process, to the mechanism of shareholder advocacy. This is an interesting question because religious investors have been identified as the setters of the trends which all the other investors engage companies on. This is the very fundamental question for understanding and then predicting the trends of shareholder engagement and finally of the responsible investing movement in financial markets.